So my name is Brian Kagoro. I had the privilege of working with the UNDP a couple of years ago as the governance team leader and regional program manager. I was based at the Regional Service Center in Johannesburg, first as the public administration advisor, and then based in Addis Ababa. Africa has very unique opportunities in this moment, and those unique opportunities are institutional, demographic, leadership related, technology related, as well as in the spaces of the creative industries and energy. And the opportunities are interlinked. So they require an approach that's intersectional. That means realizing that Africans in different spaces face challenges, or at least perceive the opportunities differently based on their location. But they require a multidisciplinary approach. The old projectized approach that looks at a single thread, single issue approaches to resolving whether it is crises, or challenges, or trying to optimize opportunities no longer suffice. And the ability, the muscle memory to work across sectors, to work across disciplines is one that needs to be developed. You do need an institutional framework. You do need, if you like, a leadership mindsets that are prepared to work across those institutions. The greatest resource the continent has is its people. We have a lot of people who retired from multilateral institutions, retired from civil service, retired from the private sector, who possess huge amounts of knowledge. And you have a lot of people who may still be serving, who are approaching retirement, and a lot of young people who have never been employed, or young people who are on the entrepreneurial and innovation spaces. There is a massive opportunity to bring together I call them economies of knowledge, bringing together these economies of knowledge to produce the sort of value and transformation in the areas that I talked about. Fundamentally though, we have to be serious about Africa. We have to be serious about centering African knowledge, African agency, but we've also got to be serious about African solidarities. Let me give you an example. We have some of the universities here where we sit in South Africa. Some of the leading universities are here. We have universities in every other country. But these universities are research institutions, think tanks, and innovators. There is no space created by African Union or African governments that effectively bring them together in order to harvest shared intelligence, shared ideas, to co-create solutions for some of the African challenges, but also to co-create, if you like, platforms for commonwealth, for shared wealth, shared prosperity. Because it's not only problems that we're solving for, there are fundamental opportunities that the continent has. There is a shift that has to happen in our minds. There is a mindset shift, a psychological shift. This psychological shift pertains to how we ourselves talk about Africa, how we sell Africa. So oftentimes, the marketing of Africa is based on nature. We're marketing the big five, the elephants, the buffaloes, the giraffes. Or it's based on naturally occurring phenomena like the Victoria Falls, Mount Kilimanjaro. Little attention has been paid to the innovative capacities, capabilities of Africans who are every day creating solutions of potentially global impact. So Africa as a space of ideas, Africa as a space of innovation has been the most utilized or also undersold component of the continent. But there is a value system, the Ubuntu value system, the value that's based in mutual recognition, mutual accountability, mutual responsibility, and the idea of self-reliant growth, that each one of us can make a contribution to transforming our neighborhoods, transforming our countries, transforming the continent. There is a consciousness that has to be built because for many years, both colonial governments and independence governments exercise authority by dividing and conquering, by keeping people divided on the basis of religion, of ethnicity, and other differences. And the real opportunity we have is we're seeing young people unite across different classes, different geographies, even different disciplines as they organize, mostly against what they don't want in the status quo. But there's a potential for such organizing that transcends the historical division to be harnessed and channeled towards an African transformation agenda. That African transformation agenda obviously has to be collaborative. That African transformation agenda has many interpersonal dimensions. And it is those interpersonal dimensions that are very important. Relationship as the currency that builds trust. Trust as the currency that builds, if you like, selflessness in the giving. And those are important. They're important for several reasons. We need to build institutions that respond to the future, not only the past. We need to build ideas that respond to the future, not only the past. We need to build, if you like, a leadership that sees Africa 100 years from now. A leadership that begins to study Africa, but also study other parts of the world. Appreciate why and what are the interests of the other parts of the world in Africa, as well as what should be African interests. How does Africa project her values, her interests, and her power in relating with the rest of the world? How does Africa negotiate co-created solutions to global problems? So that Africa is also a rule giver and not just a rule taker. Africa is not dependent, but Africa is part of a contribution to transformation in the world. This will require not just new leadership, new institutions, new ideas, new mindsets. It will require that we dig deep into our value system. It will require that we be careful how to rehumanize ourselves after many years of erasure of our history, of our knowledge, but also how to place at the front and center dignity, rights, and also progress. The narrative about Africa can't just be about fighting poverty. Narrative about Africa can't just be about ending inequality, as important as those things are. It can't just be about fighting corruption. It now needs to be about certain outcomes. And those outcomes between you and I are: how does Africa become a leader in global energy? How does Africa become a leader in global technology? How does Africa become a leader in the creative arts space? How does Africa become a leader in content creation, in coding? How does Africa become a leader across a various set of potential economic fields of the future? And what value do we place on those African peoples, including African diaspora, Afro-descendants, and what value do we place on African resources? What value do we place on African institutions? If what we have are not the right institutions, they're not future fit, then we should be able to build institutions or build new institutions. The gap between young people, median age 19, and the bulk of those who control industry, who control politics, can only be breached by taking a very nuanced, thoughtful approach that says the generations must speak to each other. The solutions won't come from one center, but the senior, older generation must now begin to center young people and skill them, get them ready to do and to govern locally, but also to govern globally, because the challenges they face will be much more than local national problems. They'll face global problems. And above all, we can't lead outside our character. We're a happy, joyful, colorful people, and we have to lead with color. We have to lead with character, because if we deny ourselves, there's no way we can assert ourselves. That's my message. So, an agency such as the United Nations Development Program must come into this space with humility. Understand its role as that of amplifying voices, ideas, processes, creative solutions, innovations that are beginning to emerge within communities and societies. But also UNDP has resources beginning to invest, right, in ways that de-risk nascent innovations and things that people are creating. The real impact of an agency such as UNDP is how it is able to face outward to the rest of the world, right? Helping amplify Africa's voice, face inward in an advisory capacity, helping governments, think tanks and others speak with each other, use its convening power, its facilitation power, use also its power to be able to bring, if you like, global north, global south, forces and voices together.